So we're going to talk about death, the last taboo. Yeah. So we're going to talk about death, the last taboo. And so this is going to be a 1 hour live. Andromeda Flame's going to join. And it's always a pleasure to have her. But it's going to be about death, the last taboo. And we need to talk about it as starseeds because we really need to do better. So I'm going to wait for people to come on. And then I'm gonna as soon as people start coming on Andromeda, I'm going to invite you in. Because I want to say why I'm doing this. And then I want you to jump in. We'll talk about death. Death and people who are living. Death and people who are afraid of it. Death, the last taboo. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. And then, Andromeda, I want you to jump in. So let me go ahead and get you invited in. Invitation sent. All right, let's wait for at least 9 people to show up. So I don't repeat myself because this is important. Thank you, Andromeda, for joining. So we're going to talk.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening from London. Thank you for joining. So death. Okay. So my son's other mother, okay, godmother, was diagnosed with brain. It was actually brain cancer, but I wouldn't call it brain cancer because it was what's the word? It was what is it? A lump in the frontal lobe. What was it? Not a lump. A tumor. Supposedly a benign tumor, or at least that's what we were told. So she went through the surgery. They live in a very beautiful place in Los Feliz, California. Very rich people. Her husband was the guy who did the first ads for the iPhone. Okay, the first ads. You know where it was the black and white ads. Okay, very beautiful people, very kind people, very generous people. And so they were known in the neighborhood. They'd lived in the neighborhood for a long time. And she sat on that staircase after the surgery, say weeks after. No one came up to her. Everyone was avoiding her. Everyone was avoiding her. That's sick. And she said, well, they're afraid of death because I represent death to them. And so I'm going to tell you another story. My twin is on his, he's going through his journey. He's very ill. And I started calling some of his friends. And one of his friends from the temple, though he couldn't really talk, spent 1 hour and 7 minutes reading from a book, a holy book, on death and transcendental wisdoms from that book. He read the entire, it's a small volume book. I can actually give you the name if you guys are interested. And he read the entire in this beautiful voice the entire time. Another friend called him and talked to him about the old days and the kinds of crazy things they used to do. And I've been telling him stories of how we met and what we did and how much he means to me. You don't fucking do that shit in a eulogy after they're gone. You do it when they're alive. And to be with someone who sits, who is sitting facing the end of their bodies, the end of this incarnation, the end of this egoic framework, that was their whole raison d'être. You as a human being need to go visit people who are facing that and share with them stories about them, about how much they meant to you, not at a eulogy, while they're alive. And I am shocked at people who don't do that, who are, no offense, cowards. I call these people cowards because you're so afraid of your own mortality, you can't face the mortality of someone else. And holding sacred space means you come and visit them, even if it's inconvenient, and you tell them stories about themselves so that they can laugh, so that they can see that their life was good, so they can see that you actually were impacted by their presence on this planet. Eulogies are ridiculous. They're ridiculous because why would you give a eulogy to someone who's no longer there when you could actually celebrate their life while they're there? So I want you to jump in and tell me your thoughts on that. Why are people so afraid of death? Why is it a taboo? What do you think it is? Is it that they're afraid of their own mortality, or they're so tongue-tied about what to say.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think most humans walking about this earth are they're afraid of the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
They see death as final,
Yeah.
and they also feel ill-equipped to say the right things. And I would use quotation marks there because there is no wrong thing to say if you're expressing appreciation and love,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to concoct the words, you speak from your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what people are not used to doing.
Yeah.
People are not used to speaking from their heart. And death is something to be feared. Again, it's this indoctrination of organized religion.
Mm-hmm.
People, uh, if you look at all the major religions, right? Hinduism, you're told that if you don't lead a good life, you will slip down the chain of incarnation,
Mm-hmm.
of reincarnation.
Yeah.
If you are Catholic, you will go to purgatory or worse. If you're
Mm-hmm.
Protestant, you'll go to worse. If you're Islamic, you'll go to worse. So people are afraid of judgment and they're afraid of death. And the reason is because they don't understand the concept of reincarnation.
Yeah.
They don't understand the concept of, well, what life on this planet is actually about.
Yeah.
Life on this planet is all about learning, it's all about growth. And we should be grateful for the life here, for what we've learned. And all we can hope for is that we pass on from this body
Mm-hmm.
in an awakened state, uh, uh, on to the next incarnation or not,
Mm-hmm.
back to source, because we understand. You said something really important and beautiful. You talked about your twin being on the journey,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all it is. It
Yeah.
is just part of the journey of our soul. The soul is eternal, the soul doesn't go anywhere. Neither does your union,
Yeah. No, it
you
doesn't.
know? And people are terrified of everything in our society. We're afraid of death because we see it in the movies. We're afraid of death because we are fed continual gore and violence.
Oh.
We are told to be afraid of illness because somehow illness, eh, illness from the teachings of the church to other religious cults have told us that illness is a punishment.
Yeah. That's
Right?
right.
We're afraid of all of these things. They've all become taboo.
Yeah.
And we live in such a superficial, false society that people think they need to find the right words instead of speaking from their heart.
Exactly.
Um, this is a fear that we all have to deal with. But look at animals, right?
Yeah.
Okay, animals will do everything they can to survive. But when animals know that it's their time,
Yeah.
cats, for example, will hide. Okay,
Yeah.
they will find somewhere to go and be quiet, to drop that body.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's
Right?
why I'm not a big fan of putting anything down unless they are absolutely actively suffering, like they're in pain. But typically, some animals literally fall asleep. That's it. Hey, good morning, Polly. Thanks for being here. So one of his friends said, "Well, what do I say?" I say, "Talk about the old days. Talk about stories. Talk about the crazy shit you guys did when you were young. Make him laugh." Never occurred to him. What do I talk to him about? That's what you talk to someone when you talk about your respect for them, your admiration from them. You share stories. You remind them of things that made you admire them, that changed you in some way, that made you feel good. It's one of your cherished memories, and they happen to be part of that cherished memory. It's so simple. But it show up. And again, I think we've missed the point because there's so many laws about what you do with them when they're gone, with their bodies, stuff like that. Like there's all these fucking regulations. Like the Native Americans, I don't know if you guys know that, but there was cremations. The Vikings cremated the what you call it, the Hindus cremated. There's all kinds of different ways of doing this, but no one had to ask permission. Ask permission, ask for permits, and it's just craziness to me that we can't just come together. Um, the Irish wakes are famous,
Yeah.
famous, right? Tell us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are a couple of points I want to make. I'll talk about the wake
Mm-hmm.
in a second, but in my day job, I see a lot of people, I see a lot of death.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest observations that I have made is that the people around them, they either feel that they have supported them through this journey or they are riddled with regret and guilt.
Yeah.
All right. Regret for not spending that time with them, regret for being too busy all the time,
Yeah.
regret for not telling them that they're loved and appreciated,
Yeah.
and talking about when things were good. But the Irish wake, so in Ireland, we have a very, I think it's quite
Mm-hmm.
a healthy way of grieving. It's very quick. The It's burial in Ireland, but the person, your loved one, comes back home in their coffin, an open coffin, and people come and visit.
Mm-hmm.
People come and visit them, and people will talk to them, and one of the things that always, um and I don't know if you've seen Derry Girls, but again, there's a scene in there of a wake, okay, and everybody comes in and says, "Oh, doesn't she look lovely?" And
Yeah.
the young girls are looking at each other, going, "What are they talking about?" Right? But
Yeah.
that's the thing, you say, "Oh, they look really lovely. They look really peaceful,"
Yeah.
and people pray, and then on the third day, the funeral mass and the burial takes place, and the tradition is that the priest comes to the house, everyone prays, they put holy water on the person, and then the
Mm-hmm.
coffin is closed and carried to the church. And it's women. There's a big tradition in Ireland of women carrying the coffins as well,
Mm-hmm.
because in death we are all equal.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very much. Yeah. Beautiful.
So it's quick. It's a huge community event, um, and the houses traditionally are packed. I mean, people actually worry about not having enough tea, and that they enlist relatives to come in and make sandwiches because there are so many people who come to
Mm.
pay their respects.
Wow. That's community. It's what we've lost, that kind of support.
Yeah.
It's like singular. When my mom died in September of 2022, it was just me and my son. And I heard some of the hospice nurses, they asked me, well, do you have something for her to wear? I go, absolutely. And they said, do you have a ritual? I go, absolutely. And they were kind of shocked because there has been people who die in hospitals or who whatever, who die wherever they are, and they'll ask you, did you bring something for them to wear? And the family members will say, oh, that's fine, whatever they're in is fine, meaning the hospital gown. There's a process that goes back thousands of years of bathing, of lovingly bathing them. So I lovingly bathed my mom in rose water with cloth, cleaning her body, oiling it with lotus oil, right? The blue lotus. and then putting her in her nightgown, her fresh nightgown. And then my son went down to the garden and picked gardenias and red roses. And we made a coronet. And then when they came to take her for cremation, you could tell they were kind of shocked. They're, these ceremonies are important. They're important for your own connection to what just happened. They're important because it humanizes and adds urgency to your own life. It quickens your footstep, I hope, and it connects you to impermanence. And it's critical to you. And so when you avoid it, when you avoid this opportunity, you're avoiding your own life. It's obvious, because if you were really, really all into your life, you would want to look at every aspect that life offers you as an experience. That's in my humble opinion, which doesn't sound humble, but it's what I feel is it's truth. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yeah. And, I was just thinking that you and I actually remember our passing in previous lives.
Yeah.
And the manner in which people pass, people drop this body, or how they are allowed to do so by the people around them, it
Yeah.
makes a huge difference to
That's right.
subsequent lives, the karma you carry,
Mm-hmm.
the the wounds that you carry into the next life, and the work that you have to do. And it's, reincarnation is a really important aspect of this, and something that has been discredited by the organized religions, because
Mm-hmm.
ultimately they have all ruled through fear, and they have created and harnessed this fear of death. And in terms of honoring the vessel, look at how the Egyptians did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
They cleaned, and the Romans did this as well. They cleaned, and they bathed, and they uh, preserved the body, and they
Mm-hmm.
gave coins, as the Romans did,
Mm-hmm.
to help people along their journey,
Yeah.
because they saw it as a journey, not as finality, the way we've been taught in the West to view it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's not to say that grief isn't a real thing.
Yeah.
Grief when losing a loved one is a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of the hardest things that we have to come to terms with as humans.
Yeah. I
Be,
agree.
be, because having a physical body around you is comforting, and it gives you, it helps to ground you. But with twins, with high level soulmates, the relationship doesn't end. The union does not end. The union continues, just in a different form, which is also comforting. Um, it is comforting. At
Yeah.
the same time, death should be our advisor,
Exactly. That's what my
right?
son used to always say. He always says, "Death, make death your advisor, and fear your ally." That was something he got from Carlos Castaneda and became his motto.
Yeah,
That is his motto. It will continue to be his motto into the next level of transformation. And though I sound very calm right now, I'm fucking not. I'm shaking.
yeah, and of course you are,
But
because
yeah,
this
but
is a hard station.
well, what I still can't really, what I'm having a hard time with is the people who he hasn't spoken to and who showed up on the phone, who can't show up physically because they're far away, 3,000 miles away. But they showed up with their presence, and they showed up with their time, and they showed up with their energy, full on. And the people who supposedly were his, diehard friends, they showed up in the material world, but it doesn't occur to them to just come by someone's bedside and just tell. These are guys that he's known since he was 14, 15 years old. It doesn't occur to them to just sit by his bedside and just shoot the shit, talk. funny stories, laugh. It's so easy to do that. It really doesn't take a lot of effort. It's just go back into your memory bank and go back to things that you guys did that were crazy. Things that it's, I don't know what happened to us as a people in the Western world, and in particular in America. The Italians still have wakes. A lot of these countries in Europe still have where you can see the body. People, when somebody's dying in Philippines and other places like that, they will be at your bedside. You will have a fucking full room. And I just don't understand what happened to us in this country. I know for a fact that it's not COVID. It's not the lockdown that created this. We had this problem a long, long time ago. It's like a toxic, twisted, puritanical reverberation. You know, it's not even. I I would I would say that the Puritans back in England probably still had, and back in the Deutschlands and other parts of the world in Europe, um, understood that concept of community. I would think, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But what are your thoughts? I mean, what the fuck happened? Why is it that we don't have Sunday dinners? Why is it that we don't sit elbow to table and make sure that we share a meal together? You know what I mean? Where we're really connecting with each other and having sometimes difficult conversations with each other, fun conversations. Why is Thanksgiving? Why is it that it's Thanksgiving and Christmas? It's only twice a year that families gather. Why is it that? Why? What the fuck happened to us as a people? So that when people are on their way of passing away, it's an empty fucking room, except for the immediate loved ones. And yeah, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off. We need to do better. You want a community? All of you, and many of you that will hear this later on YouTube, you got to build a community. It doesn't build itself. You can't sit in a rocking chair and go, I want to build a beautiful garden. You got to go plant the seeds. You got to fucking water the garden. You got to fertilize it. You got to tend to it. Well, bloody hell, it doesn't just come like this. American culture is so fast paced. Well, then slow the fuck down, man. Slow the fuck down. Fast paced to what? More money? How much money? Fast paced to $500 every 2 weeks for groceries, or $1,200. Fast paced to that. We should be fast paced to dismantling our political system and regrouping, my friends. I mean, when we have no community. I'm even thinking of Russia. They have a community. They'll be together when somebody is sick. They'll be there to help each other. I mean, and they're fucking intense race of people, the Russians. I mean, fucking intense. But they'll show up and look at their metros and look at the respect and look at their grocery bill. Tucker Carlson went in there and basically really pissed off a lot of American politicians. Yeah, because he shamed because they know he basically said, "You keep saying he's a pariah, this guy Putin, but here we are." Yeah, and I'm talking about all of this because you're saying it's fast paced, and that's a good point, Canary. It's fast paced because of lack consciousness. So no one has the time to just sit back and chill and get spiritually aligned with the universe, spiritually connected to their beloved, spiritually connected to their children, so that their children understand their philosophies, their moral values, so that it's either going to be a clash or not. But there's a beautiful connection of let's agree to disagree with civility, but I still love you, baby. That kind of energy. And friends are friends when it's convenient. What kind of friendship is that? That's not friendship. And lovers are only lovers when it's convenient. That's not love. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. The fast paced thing is it's manufactured, and it's manufactured so that people are fearful of being in the present or being present, because love love and intimacy require presence, and you can't be present, truly present, if you are continually worrying about the future and not surrendering. So the fast-paced nature of many Western societies
Yeah.
is that it takes us away from ourselves, and it's deliberate. And
It's
again, we've been the feeling has been shut down. Feeling, particularly for the masculine, men
yeah.
are told that they're weak if they
Mm-hmm.
feel, that they're weak if they cry. But how can someone truly feel if their chakras are absolutely fucked by a
Exactly.
society that makes them feel unsafe, takes them away from the earth so they're not fully grounded, puts them in synthetic fibers,
Mm-hmm.
puts fluoride in the water, which calcifies the third eye?
Yeah.
How can people really, really be in touch with themselves and be present in that kind of society?
Yeah.
But recognizing that
Yeah.
is the first step to resisting that,
And
and we got to resist it.
it must, it's a I do not consent. Again and again. It's a I do not consent. You have to do it spiritually, you have to do it loud and proud. You have to say, I do not consent. And then you gotta call people out. I basically spoke to his brother who's been here visiting. And his brother said, just in defense, they were always there when, and I'm like, in defense to what? I mean, it's like, it's, I don't understand people who don't understand that these alpha males, these masculines are not going to ask, come visit me. But it should be an un vocalized request. It should be understood. And I remember seeing a lion that was sick, and I believe it was his younger brother lion that came to the hyenas were going to come and take him. Obviously, take him down because he was an old lion. He was a battle scarred lion, a well known lion, and one of his apparently brothers from the pack came and helped him, saved him so he could die with dignity. He didn't let the lion, well, it's a little lion. That's just how the world works. It's like, no, no. And the younger lion came and helped his brother so that his brother could die in dignity, alone and in peace, not in fear, not trying to protect himself. But do you understand? We have to be better. We are being asked again and again to have more empathy. And if you don't have empathy, if you have a reptilian mind, I don't know what to say to you, because you're not one of us. You're not the star seeds who bring light to the planet. You're one of the star seeds Anunnakis who are here bringing darkness. That's all I got to say on that. But for those of you who sometimes watch these wildlife videos and go, what the fuck? Why are you filming? Go fucking help the animal. If you're that person, then you understand what I'm saying. Um, Everyone has a right to die in peace, feeling safe and warm. Some of us won't die like that. We'll die in a car accident. We'll die in a drowning. We'll die in a flash, right? And that's fine. But even after the fact, we need to be able to, as a community, to speak to the soul as if it's standing right there going, you're okay. You got this. You've done this before. Keep crossing over. You got this. Because when people pass away suddenly, it's kind of like the movie Ghost. You've all seen the movie Ghost, right? With Demi Moore. You remember that with Patrick Swayze? The shock of being out of the body. Yeah. We need to be what we call death doulas, death high priestesses, high priest. That means you burn the candles. You let them know it's okay. Keep going. You got this. Don't worry. You got this. One of the things that they're putting in the spiritual community, which is again Anunnaki bullshit, is to be afraid of your own death. Meaning, oh my God, if you go this way, don't go to the light, or else you'll go back to the cycle of reincarnation. It's really simple. All you have to do is say, I deserve 5D. I deserve 60. I deserve immaculate divine love. You should say it before as you're passing through. In other words, you're dropping your body. You should have that consciously. You should practice this shit so that it's second fiddle. I said this before. One of his friends had died in a motorcycle, and his name was Roy. My high level soulmate, his best friend who also died of a motorcycle, his name was Roy. But anyway, that Roy, my twins Roy, was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari the whole entire time until he stopped and his heartbeat stopped. He was in a state of surrender. He knew this was his moment, and he had practiced. Clearly, you don't show up to these incredible events My God, even for weddings, they have a fucking wedding rehearsals. So you practice. How do you practice? You practice. What will I think when I know it's it's my day. Today's my day. Then you'll know exactly what to say. So that it puts you in the frequency to jump out of your body, to release your body, to go and be in the realm and dimension you deserve, so that you're not recycled like a conveyor belt back into 3D. Does that make sense? It's really simple. There's nothing to fear. You've done this before. You're an old pro. We're all veterans of this shit. But you have to remember by practicing, so that when that moment comes, you're prepared, even if it's a shock, even if anyway, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, for those of us who've had near-death experiences, when you're at that point, so when you're at that point of either crossing over or staying,
Yeah.
you have this incredible sense of peace. There is no fear at all, no fear,
Yeah.
because you're at that point, you're not entirely in a human body.
Mm-hmm.
You're already somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're already somewhere else where you know that this isn't the end and you know that it's nothing to fear. Um, and for many of us, that near-death experience is a pivotal
Yeah.
turning point, okay, where it informs everything we do from that point on.
Yeah.
But when people drop their bodies in fear
Oh God.
or
Yeah.
not like lack of surrender,
Mm-hmm.
then they need help to cross over.
Mm-hmm.
If you are at peace, you've surrendered, you know where you're going,
Yeah.
and yeah, you'll miss everybody, but you're kind of okay about it, then you will cross over very quickly.
Yep.
Um, and we've all known people. I mean, you know about my young cousin,
Mm-hmm.
Tony,
Yeah.
who unalivened himself at
Yeah.
25,
Yeah. Yeah.
and nobody knows why. But the night that he did that,
Mm-hmm.
he called his girlfriend very late, told her that he loved her, gave his dog a treat, told his parents that he loved them,
Yeah.
which makes me think that even though he was in pain and he was in a state of surrender,
Yeah.
but what will stop him from truly crossing over is seeing the pain that that act caused his family, his
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. 100%.
because he'll be in that transition thinking, what have I done?
Yeah.
Because if it's somebody's time, it's kind of their time, all right,
Yeah.
to a certain extent. But the the manner in which you pass has a huge influence on what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's a lesson for us all. Now, the the transition from physical form to non-physical form is something that we can help our loved ones with. We can help them to get into a state of surrender.
Yeah.
We can chant with them.
Yeah.
We can give them, comfortable, fragrant surroundings, maybe a nice view. And then when they're in that transition, we can pray for them. We can sage. We can help them. We can continue to help them on that journey, even when they've actually left their body.
Yeah.
And it's an important part of our grieving process as well, because we can continue to help them. We still have a role. We still have a part to play,
Yeah.
and we always will. And then in the case of a twin, they will continue to guide us
Yeah.
even when they're not in physical form.
Yeah.
This is why the twin flame, twin ray dynamic relationship, whatever you want to call it, this is why it is so important for the ascension, because we have to learn to transcend these things that humans find so difficult to deal with, these concepts that
Yeah.
plague other humans. We have to transcend them, and we have to open ourselves up to continuing that relationship even if our twin is no longer in physical form, and that's incredibly difficult.
Yeah. That's for sure. I was one of the things that we have to do, and I've been talking to my twin about this, and I spoke to my mom, even myself, definitely my uncle. He was actually closing his eyes while I was talking to him. My uncle was, and I was saying about pardonner, which means to forgive oneself. To se pardonner. Se pardonner means to forgive yourself, no matter what it is, no matter what it is, whatever it is. Even past life remembrance. Maybe you might have flashbacks of past lives where you were a savage warrior, Attila the Hun type of deal, whatever the hell it was. The key is forgiving yourself. That's what ayahuasca told me. She said forgiveness and self-love are the two most important things if you do not want to keep looping into 3D incarnations, like the conveyor belt that Ishkan has, this famous painting where it's the baby going from teenager to old man to the grave, and it's a conveyor belt, right? Which was happening. It's an actual fact. We were doing that. We would die. That's why we would have 4 incarnations in a 100-year lifetime. Now many of us are going to drop our bodies in the next 20, 30 years, and probably beyond that, and we will not be on this planet again until it's 5D. None of us are coming back here. Many of us are not coming back, because we are getting the 400-year. I'm having way too many clients tell me, yeah, I don't see myself coming back. It's interesting, the number 400 years. It's the same number. We're all getting the same number. I didn't get 5, I didn't get 6, I got 400 years myself as well. So it's not because you're so evolved, you're walking on water. Okay, it's not about that. It's about, I'm working really hard on forgiving and purging, releasing, forgiving. It's kind of like purging your fucking closet. I was telling someone that people who are hoarders are control freaks. They're complete control freaks, because a hoarder is holding to shit just in case some this that. That's a control freak. So when you're hoarding your trauma, you're kind of a control freak. When I had a client who told me, well, I don't, I think I know who my real father is, and it was really, this was making her suffer. And I said, who gives a shit? I mean, I know it matters, but does it really matter? Your instincts told you the truth. I just confirmed that what you feel is correct. Why are you gaslighting yourself? And the gaslighting is what's making you loop. And if you don't want to come back here, if you don't want to come back in a 3D planet, Earth, but you want to come back when it's 5D, then you better just let go of that. In other words, who seeded you in this planet, right? Who brought you into this world? Are sometimes they're just biological parents, and they're not your true parents. And along the way, you will meet your true mother or father in a completely different lineage. It's not connected to you by bloodline alone, but your soul family. That's what they mean by soul family. And so all of these little things that you may be holding on to, right? Because you're like, I can't move on. I can't ascend until I get this and this done. Well, then get it fucking done, and have some urgency. Hurry up. You want to hurry on someone, on something. You're being rushed to do something. Working all these jobs and do. Yeah, fuck that. Hurry up on your healing. That should be your urgent call. Um,
Yeah.
one of the yeah, I just want one of the other things that came up that was insane to me is that another twin who is definitely in their dogma and their in their what you call it fucking egos was saying, well, I'm done with my ascension, I'm stopping right here, the ascension. And I said to her, wait, hang on, so you're saying to me that she feels like she's done enough ascending work and now she's stopped, she's getting off the fucking train? See, the train stops to get people on board, not get people off the train. The ascension train, when it stops, it's to get people on board, not to have you get off the fucking train and go, yeah, I'm done here, I'll just stop right here. Well, if you stop right here, then guess what? You're not ascending. There are other people who actually believe that, well, it's never ending, it's really painful, it just continues. And yeah, that's right. It does, until you get to the root of it. And you may have to finish the final polishing steps out of this body, but at least you'll be there. You would have accomplished great things. Why would you want to keep um, this kind of parasitical energy, right? Which is meaning all the things that the burdens that you carry, even partially on you. You're going to rubber band right back to where you started if you don't do the work and you continue with courage. What do you think?
When we transition, we have a life review.
Hmm.
Okay. And if you have hypnotherapy, which I would highly recommend to anyone who hasn't had it, when you have hypnotherapy, you will be shown past lives, and your higher self will tell you what the lessons were from that
Hmm.
life. So part of your life review is looking at the things that you've done, the good things and the not so good,
Hmm.
and talking about the lessons and the growth within that life. If you can deal with as much as possible while you're still here, you won't have to deal with it
Hmm.
when you go to the other side. And you won't have to deal with it in future lives. If you apologize to the people you need to apologize to, if you make amends, if you close out cycles, they're
Yeah.
done. You're not going to have to carry things into the next life.
You would
So
think you would think people would want that. It's like,
yeah, you would, but unfortunately, most people don't
yeah.
really get this, and they don't really think, okay, well, if I, okay, I might have been an absolute shit in the past, but if I'm really good to everybody I meet from now on, then then great. No, face it now.
Yeah.
Face face those things that you've done in the past that you're ashamed of. This is what shadow work is,
Yeah.
right? Shadow work is not all kumbaya and and love and light and doing a meditation and meeting your shadows. Shadow work is real shit. Shadow work is facing what you've done, facing the parts of you that you don't want anybody else to know about, and dealing with it in a real way,
Yeah.
at least attempting to. If you've wronged somebody in the past and you can't get hold of them, but at least you've tried, at least you've come to a place where you feel that you should apologize or have a discussion with somebody,
Yeah.
right? That's that's going to be so important on your ascension journey, because if you're afraid to face those things, if you're afraid to face those parts of you, you're still in the energy of fear, and you can't ascend, and you will have to come back and deal with the
Exactly.
same stuff over and over again.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. That's exactly it. And that's listen to this wise, directive from Andromeda. This is really important. You don't want to come back here. I'm never coming back here. I hate it here. Well, fucking do your shadow work. But you better, if you haven't already gone, if you're not still shaking with a recent purging, right? Shaking inside because you've done massive work and it's shaking you to your core. If you're not shaking yet, then you haven't done enough. And I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry. I'm not here to, give you like, like a happy meal right now, okay? I'm here to give you and Andromeda and I are here to give you certain things that are going to help you so that upon dropping your body, not freaking out, going, where the fuck? I don't know. Should I go in the darkness? Should I go into the light? I don't know what to do. I'm freaking. It's like, no, you don't wait till the last minute. You do your work.
Yeah.
You have a plan. You know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to say, take me back to source, take me back to love. And whatever frequency you're at, okay, you might see flashes of source, the one who created us all, the one of 1,000 names. You may see flashes that you may go back to your soul group. You'll definitely meet your guides, your guide, your main, squeeze, and all of that's going to happen. But depending on which dimension you land on is going to be based on what you've done here. It's actually frequent. That's why some of your friends are leaving your life, because it's no longer a frequency match. It's they're in fifth grade mentally, spiritually, and you're about to graduate from your master's, going into your PhD, spiritually speaking, to give it some kind of framework. Does that make sense? So it's not a match. People in their late 20s don't hang out with a 11 year old. Hello, that's a little weird. Okay, so that's the same premise, right? And so that's why when you drop your body, depending on where you're at with the work, the purging, the self-worth, and so on, that frequency, you can't, it's not something you decided the last minute. That's for damn sure. It's something that if you've been, I hate to say this because fuck, but some of you guys will, some of us will have a disease that keep us living, and we'll have the word, from, doctors saying, well, you've got a year to live, or you got 6 months, or whatever, right? And that gives people plenty of time to say what they want to say, to forgive themselves, to be forgiven. All kinds of things can be done during that time. All kinds of things that can be done, so that when you drop your body, it's beautiful. For some of us, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, especially if you do the work now, it'll be a quick boom. Oh, now I'm here, now I'm not. A quick moment. It'll be a flash, and you'll be home, where your frequency is a match to that home, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is not about self-flagellation,
Mm-mm. Not at
right?
all. Yeah.
This is actually about self-worth.
Yeah.
That you are worth doing that work. Okay. And actually, it's the most important thing that you will do on Earth School. Not making money, right? Not people pleasing,
Mm-hmm.
not not any of that, but actually learning self-worth and dealing with cycles, closing out cycles, raising your vibration, raising the vibration of those around you, and doing what you were here to do, because all of you here are star seeds,
Mm-hmm.
okay, with an important role in the ascension.
Absolutely.
And many of us won't come back to this planet at all.
Yep. That's true.
Some
And
will when it's gone into 5D, but when you come back will very much depend on how you conduct yourself in this lifetime.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that means that sometimes you do shit that's not convenient for someone else who is not asking you for the favor. Be with me. Tell me stories about me. I need to make sense of my life. Was it worth it? Was it good? Was I good? Did I impact? How many people did I? You might think it's an ego stroke. It's not. It's an inventory. So we're going back to what I was saying originally. Somebody is been diagnosed with blah blah blah, whatever the hell it is. You show the fuck up. I remember when I went to my son's godmother, right? She had her first seizure. Okay. And there was a thing that I did. I did that with one of his healers too. I would go to the hospital. His healer had some weird stuff happen there, and I went to the hospital. Was it convenient? Fuck no, not at all. It was a pain in the ass to find parking. It's a pain in the ass to go to the hospital. Okay, a massive. But I remember, I always have like really expensive hand lotion, which I get as samples, whatever. But I keep it in there, not for me. My hands are shit. For this, just in case. And I just said, may I massage your feet? And as we talked, I would massage their feet. And to me, it's a small thing, but for them, it was the world, the absolute world, for me to massage their ankles, their feet, their toes, and softly eye to eye contact talking to them. It made them feel seen. It made them feel loved and nurtured. It's weird how the simple, I mean, you could walk in with a bouquet of orchids or pull out your hand lotion and give them a foot massage. Which one would you prefer? Especially when you can't even lift your head off the pillow. It's giving of your energy, not money. It's not money people want, especially now. It's your time. It's your energy they want. And they're not going to ask for it, especially alpha males. They're not going to ask for it. They're going to let you choose. We women, and some of us who are alpha females will ask. Some of us won't. For us, it'll be a message that this was never an important relationship, that maybe it was an illusion of ours. And that's the same with the masculine. They'll think, well, I guess I thought they were my friends. I've known them since I was 15, but I guess I was wrong. That would be the assumption you leave someone with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense because again, we can actually we can actually help people
Mm-hmm.
feel worthy.
Yeah.
This idea that nobody else's behavior affects anyone else. I mean, that's just toxic BS, right? Your behavior can affect other people. How you talk to someone can affect that person's sense of self-worth. So doing things that seem little, that are
Yeah.
not material,
Yeah.
they're absolutely huge. I was talking to somebody the other day whose twin is married, right? Is in a marriage,
Yeah.
and they this man gets home from work and he opens his laptop and he doesn't even converse with his wife.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm thinking, even saying, you know, hi baby, you look tired. Would you like a cup of tea? Can I rub your feet?
Yeah.
Would you like some water? Can I get you anything? Or do you just want me to give you
Yeah.
some space? Those simple, small acts,
Yeah.
they help people feel safe around you. They help people feel that they are cared for
Yeah.
because I mean, most of us are just about getting by financially,
Yeah.
but we can give so much more that is so much more important than anything financial. We don't want, who wants a relationship that's all about gifts and
Exactly.
material things, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you can have a relationship that is based on respect, on love, a relationship that makes you feel that you have a purpose
Yeah.
in that relationship, that you can make this other person feel good, and ultimately, when that relationship ends, either because it's no longer a frequency match
Yeah.
or one person drops their body,
Yeah.
you will still feel that you gave your all, that you made them feel good in your presence. And that's not a selfish thing.
Yeah.
That's love. That's a giving thing. It's a giving thing to want to make somebody else feel good,
Yeah.
feel safe, feel cared for, feel valued.
Yeah.
So much
Yeah.
more than gifts and bouquets of flowers. And don't get
Exactly.
me wrong, we all love, getting the flowers, right?
Yeah.
but but it's not what's important. I mean, I remember my my twin said that this is a while ago. He said he didn't feel good enough for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I said you could be living in a cardboard box and you would still be the most magnificent man on earth.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's exactly it. And there's this asinine bullshit idea that a man that's worthy has to make $250,000, $500,000, millions of dollars. And, I'd rather have a man that is homeless in a tent, who has integrity and love, who actually honors himself as a man, who doesn't want to be part of the system at all, to the point where he won't even be part of the system, which means that's why he's in a tent or living in the woods or building his own cabin, than be with a man who's hustling and chasing millions of dollars, who will send me gifts and have mistresses all around the world. To me, it's about the soul connection anyway. I'm not, many of us who are starseed high priestesses, I'm going to call it out, goddesses and high priestesses. Yeah, we don't want a currency exchange with a man. That's not what we're looking, or a woman if we're gay. That's not what we want from a partner. We want something more. And it's not a control issue. It's the fact that one of my very, very dear friends who died, many of you have followed me for years. You know who he is, D Sunshine, who died. He owned a caravan, a mobile home, right, in Scotland, right? And he had nothing. And he ended up, his twin flames is very, very wealthy. And the problem is it turned into money. It turned into who had more money, who had more power. And he was rebelling because he's a hippy dippy dude. Rainbow tattoos on his chest, a tantric, polyamorous, and she was against that, of course. I mean, I could understand that, but that wasn't really the problem. It was about power. It was about, she was treating him like a sugar baby, and he wanted no part of that. And so he left. He didn't want to be owned. He wanted to be loved. And he didn't care about the money. She lived in villas, chateaus that she would, rent and so forth. She could afford it. So my point is, that is something constructed by society. It's dogma that we eat up like cake, like, because we've been bred on this, that somehow if you're rich, if you have good credit, you're a good human being. No, I could sell all kinds of illicit shit. I'd have excellent credit, have a massive amount of money in my bank account. Does that make me a good person? The 500,000, 500 million, does that make you suddenly a better person than a person living in a tent who actually has moral values, who actually won't do this shit? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Because, by the way, as we pull down this disgusting infrastructure that has made us suffer for hundreds of incarnations, okay, as this, because we're heralding the 5D, the new Earth, right? The shit's not going to matter. None of it's going to matter. So the value of a person will be the content of their character, not the content of their cryptocurrency account. Just on a side note. Stop being pressured by what other people think about your partner and how successful they are and not successful. Stop doing that. You shouldn't give one fuck about what people think about how much money you have, how much your man or woman has, how beautiful they are, how slim they are, how fit they are. Oh my gosh, she had a baby. Look, she still has baby weight. Just stuff after stuff after stuff of judgment. Stop letting people control how and who you choose to be with. Stop it. Because it's toxic. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no, it's completely toxic. And if we need a visual representation of that, look at the Met Gala,
Oh my
right?
God. Mm-hmm.
Now, these are the and I'm gonna do my usual Tony in
Mm-hmm.
quotation marks, the great and the good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which they are not. They are neither of those things. They turned up looking like some kind of circus,
Mm-hmm.
okay, paying $75,000 for a ticket while people are sleeping on the streets and children
Mm-hmm.
in other countries are being genoed or are
Mm-hmm.
starving.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's the idea that money, that affluence, that material affluence, and I've used that word deliberately, that
Yeah.
that material affluence is somehow it, proportional to virtue.
Yeah.
That idea is really starting to collapse.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the say the kings and queens of old, right?
Yeah.
Right. Let's go for the big one. Let's go for Henry VIII. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now Henry VIII was supposedly God appointed
Yep.
at his coronation. He then placed himself as the head of the church when the Catholic Church wouldn't consent to
Mm-hmm.
annul his marriage with Catherine of Aragon. He then proceeded to have six wives, two of whom he unalived. One died during childbirth, two were humiliated by him, and one
Mm-hmm.
survived him. Now, he was the wealthiest man in England at the time, supposedly head of the church. Propaganda really started at that time because Thomas Cromwell was using the printing press to release propaganda
Mm-hmm.
to the people. This was at a time when it was considered heresy to actually read the Bible. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, are you telling me that his virtue, that his wealth somehow equated to his virtue? The man was a monster.
He was.
He was
He
an
was.
absolute monster.
Yep. He was. And the story goes that Anne Boleyn, even facing the swordsman, right, to get her head, removed from her shoulders, basically said about him, he is a good king. He is my good king. She never, you know, spoke against him. Never. The average person can't even handle a cheating situation without saying that mf'er. I want him to, die, just all kinds of shit. I want to take everything they own. I want to destroy them just because they looked at another woman or another man or had sex with someone else. It's amazing to me. And she was facing the day of her own doom and still said that about him. The loyalty was unwavered. I find that extraordinary. That's a high level soul, don't you think? That's a high level
Oh
conscious
yeah,
being.
yeah. No, I mean, she was quite she
Special.
was quite an incredible. Yeah, she was quite an incredible being actually.
Well,
Um,
she must have been because they make it sound like she was manipulating him when she kept refusing the jewelry. He would keep sending her jewels, right? More and more expensive jewels, and she kept rejecting them. And it could have been a coquetry, a coquetry meaning a flirtation. It could have been. She was young. She was young. She was like what, 17, 18? You're supposed to flirt when you're that age. You're supposed to figure shit out. It's normal. But also, she was being squeezed by her father, who was a piece of shit, who was pimping her out, basically. So I think we have to look at how people end. And her last words were in honor of her king, the very man who put her in that situation, accused her of all kinds of vile shit. We can't repeat it here,
yeah,
but we can't repeat it because we'll be shut down in 2 seconds. But suffice it to say, yeah, that was pretty heavy stuff.
yeah, and it was the stuff that was uh that was the
Yeah.
worst thing ever because of course adultery at that time in England was punishable um by 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 unaliving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they had to really ham up the charges against her, and it wasn't just her; it was five men
Mm-hmm.
um,
I don't know
who
if it was
all
500, but there are a lot of men on that list, and they all perished.
they all perished.
They all perished, yeah. And it was unfair. It was a lie. They were all concocted.
It was concocted, and her dignity, her dignity was unbelievable. In fact, there's also um, there's some historians who believe that she was offered a deal,
Hmm.
okay, to go and live in a nunnery as long as her marriage to Henry VIII was labelled as invalid, and therefore her daughter would be illegitimate, and she refused to take that because she didn't want her daughter to be considered illegitimate.
Yeah. Yeah, that was heavy. And
She was a badass.
she was. I agree. She was beautiful, beautiful energy. I wonder who she is today, if she's even come back in this timeline. But Um, any last, last thoughts you want to share about the I'm calling this death the last taboo. I think you guys have all heard that title before. It's not new, but I think it's a conversation we need to keep having with each other. It's not something you should shy away from. I don't think many of you do shy away from it, and this is not for you, but it's to give you ideas on how to talk about it. My son and I talk about it. We talk about how we want to be, we want our body cared for. For his is completely different than my desires. But we honor each other's desires. Because you never know. Everyone's expiration date is different. Don't think we're all going to be 84. That's good luck on that one. Some of us need to vacate sooner. We've done enough, or some of us are just, so all manner of reasons can actually um, bring you to your divine appointment, which is one of your many divine appointments. You're all food for my soul. Thank you. You're so sweet. Yes. We always have good lives, Andromeda and I. They're always fun. And they're always very inspirational, because she's such a wise, beautiful soul. Beautiful Andromedan soul, right?
Thank you. As is my twin.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, yeah.
the the final words are, well, you've said them. We have two certainties. We've already been born,
Hmm.
and we will at some point no longer be in this body. And we were born with a job to do.
That's right.
And that job is something that we can't shy away from. It's something that we shouldn't delay. We should have a sense of urgency. We should get our ego in check. We should get on the ascension path and make death your advisor. If I drop my body tomorrow, would I have lived a life that I was happy with, or
Yeah.
should I have done more? Should I have made that call? Should I have made that apology?
I agree. It's very important. And it's something that is the only thing we should be rushing towards. Those needs, those final decisions, those again making death your advisor, which Carlos Castaneda wrote about in his books about Don Juan, which are amazing books that you may want to pick up, especially you masculines out there. You definitely want to look at that. You know what I mean? But I just love what you said. I resonate with every word. Every drop of wisdom is like nectar to my lips. I am, I have to say, I'm fortunate, to be with my twin. I'm privileged to walk beside him. It is a great honor. It is an honor that was not afforded to us in many, many incarnations. In many incarnations, shit happened to separate us, and we were never able to see each other home, if you get my drift. And here we are, able to do that in the physical realm. And we're saying goodbye. Each of us are going to start saying goodbye to this planet. Hopefully, you will say with great reverence to this planet, having had been your home for many, many incarnations. Okay, too many to mention. And be grateful you're here. Please be grateful. Don't say I hate being here. I don't want to be here. Please stop, because it's not going to get better by saying it. When things happen that you don't like, say thank you, be grateful, because even in the universe saying, no, not this way, no, not that house, no, not this situation, no, not that job, no, not this moment or friend or whatever, okay? Be grateful, say thank you. I know you are much wiser than I, and that you are guiding me on the right path. And by removing this thing I thought I wanted, you are bringing me closer to what I really, really want. And that, my friend, takes incredible wisdom in yourself, which you have in you, but it's covered over by your ego, by your monkey mind, by that, berating voice in your head, or this false flattery voice. I am the chosen one. You are chosen. Your blood type is blah, blah, blah blood type. I'm sorry, I'm cracking up over this shit. Souls don't have a blood type. That's a biological thing. Souls embody all types of blood types, obviously. And it doesn't prove shit if you have a blood type. It's the content of your soul that proves something, not your blood type. Please don't get waylaid in the wrong fucking directions. Believe me, it's distractions and more distractions covered over as a spiritual knowledge. Um, what do you think of that before we go? Because I don't know why this actually
Yeah.
came up. And you
I
of all
mean,
people, you got to tell them what you are before you answer. Because
yeah. So I'm a hematologist, and souls don't have blood types. Souls don't have blood. Um, in some some of the beings that you've been don't have blood.
hmm
Okay.
exactly.
So this idea that something that is measurable in a lab gives you an idea about your origins is it's hooey. It really is.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
the only thing that can give you an idea about your origins is conversing with your higher self, actually. And whether you do that through hypnosis, I mean, hypnosis is in my opinion, you might disagree, Tony, but in my opinion, it is absolutely the best way to get information because
I would
after you've
never.
had it,
No, I've never disagreed. That's why
yeah,
I trained to become a hypnotherapist because
yeah,
I started my first hypnotherapy session. I remember my soul wanted to find out about past life. I knew I was suffering at 32, 31, 32. I knew I was suffering. I found someone. It took me a year to bone up the courage to call her finally and to do the thing. And my soul said, "Yeah, we understand you want to entertain the dog and pony show for the past lives. Not today, girl. We're going to talk about how you were molested." That's what came up. It was like my soul didn't give a shit why it was there. They said, we're talking about that. You're going to face that. Then your next session, which I had a session a year later, was about past lives. And every time I went to her, from then on, moving forward, she'd say, damn, you're like, wow. Because I'd have like three, four, five past lives in one session, which is extraordinary, actually. So at some point in this incarnation, I decided to become a hypnotherapist. I studied with the Michael Newton, the Newton Institute, the guy who wrote Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls and other books like that, because I know that it is a quick track to healing. I know for a fact because
yeah,
a lot of things that it would have taken me years. I love talk therapy, don't get me wrong, but it would have taken me years. Like this unfounded fear of feeling shaky. Like I had this incredible anxiety, like someone was going to not kick our doors down. I don't know. It just started happening in my late 30s. So I went to my hypnotherapist and said, "This is what's happening. I need to know." Turns out I was a Russian Jewish 19-year-old boy dragged out of my home with my family, and I was unalivened, point blank range. And as I was dying, I thought to the consciousness was, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And after that session, the anxiety basically didn't go away overnight. It took about, I'd say, a couple months, and suddenly one day I've never had I don't have panic attacks. I've never had anxiety since.
wow,
I get worried, but then I chant. I'm a human being. Of course I worry. Of course but then I chant. I trust. And so, but not since that. So that, so after that, I knew that one day I was going to be a hypnotherapist. And so, yeah, I'm 100%. I know for a fact it works.
yeah,
You gotta find someone, you gotta trust someone. Number one, you gotta trust, and you gotta like that person, and they need to connect with you in some sense. You gotta make sure there's a connection
yeah.
for it
No, I
to
mean,
work.
it's that I had a similar experience with hypnotherapy because my whole life I'd had recurring nightmares about crucifixion, right?
Right.
And I couldn't, I didn't know why. I thought it was Catholic upbringing and all of
Mhm.
that. And it wasn't until I had my hypnotherapy and I was shown a life where I saw my twin crucified. And that's
Wow.
why I'd had, and it made sense of all of that. But hypnotherapy really is an, an unparalleled way of excavating
Yeah.
those traumas and getting to know them. And there's healing in that.
Yeah.
And when you've had hypnotherapy, what you find is that you start getting more downloads,
Yeah.
more past life memories. It it does something to you. That it opens that it opens that door to past life remembrance. So
I,
again, if you haven't had hypnotherapy,
I agree.
I think it's kind of a must. And these days in this incarnation, we're very lucky. We're very
Yeah,
fortunate that we have that facility. Um,
yeah,
but it, it's that those memories and it depends. It depends what you need to see
yeah,
at that particular time. But you will very likely see at some point how you passed in an incarnation
yeah,
and what happens after you pass. Um, and you will be able to understand the lessons from those experiences. And what that does to you is it allows you to look at everything you're experiencing now as, well, what can I learn from this? Where is the growth in this?
mm-hmm.
What do I need to heal from this? Did I react to this in a way that is wounded or unwounded?
Yeah,
And you start to be able to see everything really for what it is. You start to understand the value of the lessons that you're learning, and you start to value the relationships in your life that actually really do mean something, the relationships that are going to propel your ascension
Uh,
or not.
yeah, or block it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And there are people who are, um, and this has come out recently, not recently, but in the last 20, 30 years. There are a lot more psychopaths than you can imagine. And don't gaslight yourself on that shit. Stop being polite about, stop gaslighting yourself. If you feel like a relationship, because as you go through your ascension, you'll start seeing what people really are, not what you think they are. There's, the veils of illusion, the pink little sunglasses will fall off because you've outgrown them. And suddenly the person who you thought was your best friend, you're realizing is a sociopath, psychopath, whatever the hell, narcissist, whatever. Cut it off. Just gently, gently. You can do it gently. You don't have to be brutal about it, because why do that? But you can actually tell the person, listen, I think we've outgrown each other. I don't think this friendship is moving in the direction I want, and I want to wish you the best. I've done that with people. I want to wish you the best because it's done. It's done, And sometimes friendships are a flash in the pan, and sometimes they're 30-year relationships. In the 30-year relationships, you can tell I have a friend like that, and I've told her, yeah, we're definitely not on the same page, but I still love you. So I would never block any of these people, and I don't block people like that. I'm not blocking her. She's talks to my son weekly. She's amazing. She's sweet, but we're not on the same page. The conversations are not going to be productive for either of us. They're more painful than productive. But if she ever needed a place to stay, oh, I'm her huckleberry. She can come here in a heartbeat, because I will never let anyone be homeless. It's just, how I roll. But she's family. You can, so I mean, be honest with what your needs are in relationship. Well, how would that work? It would work like me having a roommate who I don't connect with. That's how it would work. It would work just like how you have a roommate that you probably aren't aligned in the same level, but you're sharing space and you're cordial to each other. You share the fridge, shit like that. It doesn't have to be the great spiritual platonic love affair, right? So you choose how you want to end certain things that you now know for a fact are impeding your progress. Does that make
yeah,
sense? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's only when your chakras aren't working, when you're not getting the downloads, when you're not doing the meditation, it's very difficult to discern which relationships
Mm-hmm.
are going to help your ascension and which are not. And equally, it's very difficult to get out of people pleasing, which is something we're encouraged to do in this society, which is it's
Mm-hmm.
not healthy, right? It's not healthy to keep sacrificing yourself for other people's happiness. What
Yep.
you want is a kind of symbiotic uh, relationships where you're both supporting each other, where you're both giving to each other, where you're both learning from each
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with that 100%. And it's sometimes you're gonna unfortunately hurt people's feelings, you know. I have potential clients that come to me, and I've had that happen maybe 3 or 4 times last year, where I had to turn people down, going, I'm not your person. And it's nothing to do with, it's just that I know for a fact I'm not going to give you what you want. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a mutual agreement, sometimes it's not. And you know, one of the reasons I'll turn someone down, just so you know, or someone like me would turn someone, a potential client, to, because that's important too, is because some of you are looking for your pain to end through people like us. And that's, and a person that does this kind of healing work, you know, reading, healing work, whatever, isn't going to promise you that. In fact, they're going to stop you on your track, saying, if that's what you're looking for, yeah, that's not going to happen here. Not with this session. Not What's going to happen is you'll get clarity as to what this is. What is the root of this pain? And then as you understand and accept the root of this pain, right, you will become more and more transcendental. The pain doesn't go away. You learn how to navigate life with more joie de vivre, believe it or not, with this pain kind of not harassing you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, yeah, go ahead and close it, Andromeda.
Um, yeah, so bringing it back to the original point, when we were talking about death, death is not something to shy away from. It's something to talk about. It's something to understand. Don't see it as final, because it's not. It's part of your journey. It is your second certainty after birth. And again, we've said it several times, but make it your advisor.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Andromeda. All right, I want to thank you all for being here. I will upload this live. It'll be called Death, the Last Taboo. And check it out on the YouTube channel. And yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for all those who wish me a happy birthday. I really appreciate that. That's very generous of you. I didn't expect that. Thank you. Andromeda, you're always magnificent. You're a light. The world is better because you're in it. Thank you very much for everything that you do. All right. Namaste. Be
Likewise.
well. Take care. Bye bye.